Everything runs through
Chicken tortillas.
Everything runs through
Chicken tortillas.
Good afternoon and welcome to Tortilla Talk. I'm your host Dylan, and with me today is Troy and Connor. Troy, how are we doing today?
Dylan, I'm doing phenomenal. It's good to see y'all smiling faces again.
Oh yeah, always good to see you. Connor, how are we feeling?
It's a better day now that I get to talk to you two.
Yeah, it's always a good day when you get on the pod and talk football with the boys, because boys, we're in the Final Four for college football. And before we get into that, we have been doing this bowl pick'em for Tech and Tortillas, where we got a lot of fans involved, seeing who could be the top dog. I'll let Troy update us on the standings there. Troy, how's that going?
Yeah, I took a quick snippet of our top dogs, so to give them credit where credit is due. Here are our top, 7 or 8 people? I don't know. I can't count. Who cares? Anyway, we got A. Demintu in first place and C. Bawanaman in second. It is a pretty contentious race there. And Dylan, you're not too far behind everybody, but I don't think you'll be able to pull it out in first place. So unfortunately, you gave a great effort, but a little bit short. But it'll be interesting to see how first and second place shape out with these last few games, because there's about 3 other people that can win it. So that'll be really interesting. So kudos to those guys. And then last place, we have Avery's Picks. And so kudos to Avery's Picks.
Get that Micah Hudson football.
Yeah. And the final Tech and Tortilla portion of it, we have Dallas, who you've seen on Tortilla Talks many a times, in last place for Tech and Tortillas in a very commanding lead. I don't think anybody's catching Dallas for the worst picks in Tech and Tortillas, which honestly I thought he was going to do better, but life comes at you fast sometimes.
I'm not shocked. This was to be expected.
Yeah, you never know with the bowl season. I was winning for most of it, but Anthony caught me. A. Demintu, we know who that is, and I tried to get bold and change some picks to catch him, and it backfired. I mean, Arizona State should have beat Texas. I stand by that, but whatever. It is what it is. But hey, poor Dallas, guys. He's going to have to eat a pretty hot pepper. I don't even know if he signed up for it, but too bad. That's the terms we all agreed to.
Good thing
We'll see
is
that
he'll
this
hit his
year.
medical. He'll hit his deductible in the very first month of the year. So we know he'll be back at the hospital 3 more times by the end of it.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, with that being said, guys, we'll go ahead and jump into the football games, and we'll start with the first game on Thursday, Notre Dame versus Penn State in the Capital One Orange Bowl. I'll start with you, Troy. This game, both of these teams just make me think of each other. Which way are you leaning in this one?
Yeah, it's a lot like that Spider-Man gif where they're just pointing at each other and you don't know who's going to pull it out. You have 2 fairly mobile quarterbacks in this one with Riley Leonard and Drew Aller, and really a hampered running game for Notre Dame. I'm not sure how Jordan Love is it Jordan Love? Yeah, Love is going to look, or Jeremiah Love. My apologies.
Yeah, Jordan Love's the quarterback.
I know. Yeah. I had Connor on my mind with the Green Bay Packers. But anyway, I don't know how healthy he's going to be. I don't think the backups, they're probably the same caliber of player.
Wait, hold on.
And so,
Did you say sheep?
Yeah, you said she, but hey, keep going.
she's going to run all
That's a
over.
short.
Yeah. Anyway, I just think that it's going to be interesting with the legs. Yeah, Notre Dame doesn't do much to lose themselves the ball game. So really interested to how this one's going to play out. I'm kind of leaning towards Penn State, to be honest, in this one.
Ooh. All right, Connor, how are you feeling? Who's going to win this one?
Yeah, so, I think this is going to be a definition of a ground and pound game. I think this one's going to be really close, and it's really something I found interesting is that both of these teams, well, not really that interesting. They're in this position for a reason. They're both positive, double-digit positive in turnover ratio. I think Notre Dame is plus high teens, and then Penn State is plus 9 or 10, I think, in turnover ratio. So it's really going to come down to who turns over the ball the most. Another interesting thing that when I was doing my research was in games that Notre Dame is favored by 7 or less points this year, they are 4-0-1. And then the games that Penn State is an underdog, they are 0-6. I'm gonna continue with the trend. I'm gonna take Notre Dame.
Oh man, sounds like you two are split there. Yeah, I love what you said, Troy, about the Spider-Man meme, because I just look at this and I think, I mean, it's literally just two teams that remind me exactly of each other. In my opinion, I think Penn State's just a better version of Notre Dame. Both have, I think, quarterbacks that will step up in a big game. I just feel like I trust Penn State more across the board. Yeah, I'll go with the Big Ten here. They've proven to be the best conference, even with your bad teams like Michigan showing out and beating Bama and beating Ohio State this year. I just think the Big Ten has shown their strength, and in games like this where they get to play out of conference teams, they tend to show how much stronger they are. So I'll take Penn State. I don't know if they're favored by now. If they're not, I mean, I'm sure they will be. But yeah, they'll win this game outright.
I looked into it earlier today, and they were still not favored, and the money line was even for them. And so still kind of leaning towards Notre Dame. I think overall, too, it's just this team's so interesting. Obviously, neither of them makes many mistakes. And then their passing game, too, like obviously I think Drew Aller has the edge on Leonard in this one. But just the targets in general, like Warren, I wonder how they opt to cover that guy. Obviously, he's an absolute stud and will probably be like amazing in the NFL. But outside of that, the receiving options for both teams aren't phenomenal. I mean, Notre Dame's leading receiver has less than 500 yards this year. So, paint a picture of their weapons.
But I think a lot of that also goes more towards style of play too. I mean, why force it when you can win the game? Just kind of, running it down teams' throats. Honestly, going to many different targets. To your point, only someone hitting like 500, right? But this is also a huge game for both coaches, right? I mean, Franklin's trying to shake that narrative of not winning the big one, right? Penn State's always in a situation where, before this larger playoff, it was always, hey, win the conference championship or win the big game, and then you can make it, and they would always fall short. Well, now they're in the playoff. This is the big game to get to the title. And then obviously for Notre Dame, you lose to Northern Illinois earlier this year, and then you bounce back and have a really good year. But how do you finish it, right? Can you win the big game? So it's just an interesting matchup, especially from a narrative perspective. It's both teams' chance really to finally step out and get that big one under their belt.
Dylan, do you think for these coaches, is it a can't lose or a must
a
win?
Can't lose or a must win?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know.
I'll
say can't lose. I don't think it's a must win. I think can't lose.
Troy, what do you think?
Let's see here. I think it's I don't think either coach is in a must win quite yet. Reason being is they're both relatively, new and haven't disappointed fan bases that bad yet. And so I think it's just, you can't lose it. You'd hate to lose it, but I don't think they're in a state in their jobs or where they're on the line or anything to where it's a must win.
You don't think James Franklin's in a must win scenario right now? He's been there for a couple of years now at this point.
Yeah, he's been there a bit.
Yeah, I just think that Penn State, were they expecting to get this far? Maybe, probably. I think they're probably lucky that. So I don't think he's quite there yet, but only time will tell.
Well,
we'll see what tomorrow night brings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's not must win because nothing happens to him if he loses, but I say can't lose because the narrative around his that's all anyone talks about when they talk about Franklin is the big one. So that's just going to get louder. and
Not
louder.
finishing.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and move on to the next game. Ohio State and Texas in the Cotton Bowl. Ohio State favored by 5.5. Connor, does Texas's luck run out here?
You know, I really thought their luck was going to run out against Arizona State. I really did. That being said, their luck does run out this week. Listen, you know, Ohio State in the last 2 playoff games, they have been up 35-0 in the first quarter against Tennessee and Oregon. We're going to find out who's going to win this game by the end of the first quarter. If Ohio State is up, they're going to control the rest of the game. That being said, if Texas somehow has a tie game at the end of the first or they're up, I'm going to be sweating in my seat the rest of the day. They just seem to always pull something off. We're really going to see who's going to win this game by the end of the first quarter. And the way that Ohio State's been playing, the adjustments they've made since the Michigan game, I think they're going to pull it off.
Yeah, this does have a little bit of a eerie feel of the team that doesn't look dominant, but they just keep doing that one little thing to find a way to win. Kind of like
their way in,
the Chiefs have been this year a little bit. But Troy, what do you think in this game? Does Texas luck run out, or is Connor right? Or to what me and Connor alluded to, does Texas, can they find enough to maybe squeak by in this one?
It's really interesting, the luck factor, but I'm looking at Texas in general, and a lot of has been said about how great their defense is. And if you just look at who they've played over the last 5 games, Arizona State, who hung up 31 on them, Clemson, who put 24 on them, and Clemson wasn't great all year. Georgia, 22 with a backup quarterback. Texas A&M, sure, they held them to 7. And then, but Texas A&M hasn't been anything to write home about on offense all year, too, especially in a game where Reed played like trash. And then Kentucky with 14. So they're playing like they're taking advantage of a weak SEC, you know?
I was waiting for it. Come on. Man, I was waiting for it, Troy, because those were low totals. I was like, what's he getting at here?
Yeah. Yeah. So they're playing some real teams now that can score points, that know how to put up points. And it's shown, dude. Like 24 points to Clemson and 31 to Arizona State, a Big 12 team. Come on, guys. And they shouldn't even won that game. You know, I don't sure helmet to helmet on the play before. But I don't care about that one. I care about the one that happened against Arizona State that wasn't called. So very biased in my input. But I also want to show you who's also biased in their input. So,
oh, God. That looks like an ESPN matchup predictor.
Yeah, that's ESPN's matchup predictor. And it has a team that is 6-point underdog favored in this game. So it's ESSECPN strikes again. And I'm just a little tired of it, quite frankly, because it's disappointing. You're looking at a team, to what Connor said, has peaked at the right time. I mean, they've hung up 41 points on Oregon, who's, undefeated. Albeit, we should have seen something coming with them not having any losses. Like, who are we to say they were ever going to be a good team without any quality losses? And that should have been a really big indicator that we knew they were frauds, because the SEC had plenty of quality losses. And so that should have been a pretty good indicator. And then they hang up 42 points on a Tennessee team that was one of the best defensive teams in the nation this year. And so I don't know what these narratives are out there, but points are to be had against these teams. So I was never even thinking about the over, but I'm leaning it now because I think Ohio State's going to be able to score. Hot takes aside, I don't know if they'll cover the 5.5 or 6 or whatever it's at now. But I like to think that they would. I do think Ohio State's just playing too well for them to keep up in this one. I think that they have the edge at the quarterback position. I don't think you throw Manning into this if it's close. We've seen him make mistakes in situations. I think they have the edge at the running back position as well. when you take into consideration Henderson's just an absolute beast, and I think they have the better second string running back, who's probably a first string running back in full transparency. And then Jeremiah Smith, holy smokes, that guy's a stud. So, I mean, I just think at all the key positions, they're a little bit better than Texas is, on the offensive side of the ball, at least. So it's kind of some of my thoughts.
Wow. May I just say bingo, because we just hit every slot on my Troy Dementure bingo card there. He hit SEC is weak and overrated. He hit ESPN SEC bias. He hit quality losses. I mean, man, well done. We let Troy cook. That was his masterpiece. That was his Mona Lisa. That was everything.
You can hang it up now.
Yeah. Wow. That's everything Troy's ever wanted to get off of his chest in one rant about this game.
Who needs therapy when you have this?
I know. And we're not even recording right now. We're just letting Troy get through some things. Man, that being said, wow. I think this could be one of those games that gets ugly early. I think Ohio State has the firepower to jump up double digits in the first quarter. And I probably will take them to cover the 5.5. The thing that just scares me, we keep saying it, like if Texas hangs around, they keep having that thing where just something breaks their way, something happens where they pull it off. And that scares me. But this Ohio State team is, ever since I lost to Michigan, they're angry. They're mad, Troy. Ohio State mad.
Yeah.
And they're dominant. They're great at every position, it seems like. I just don't think there's a team that has as much talent as them. And Texas just hasn't looked like one of the best teams in the country. That being said, I mean, I'll take Ohio State. I have futures on them to win it. I mean, they're the team I think that, I mean, I'm going to back them. And I'm going to look like an idiot when Quinn Ewers throws a 4th down touchdown pass like he did against Arizona State. I don't know. This one's going to hurt, guys. I just have a bad feeling I'm going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Man, I'm still excited about Troy's wow. He even added the over in there. I forgot to even say he even threw the over on there. He really did hit every topic.
That's right.
And Troy, I'm glad you what's up?
No, go ahead.
I'm glad you brought up Arch Manning. There's no way you can go to him. You stick to Ewers. You might do what you've done where you have a couple run plays or something for him in the red zone, but I mean, imagine the chaos if now's the game they decide to switch.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they do that. I mean, such a big game, and he fumbles the snap in his one critical play. In the championship game, and so now the game actually matters because you were probably still going to make the playoff. Well, they did lose that game, so that sure impacted it, but not a great deal. They were always going to have to run through Ohio State regardless, probably. And so I just can't imagine that he gives you a better chance to win than Quinn Ewers does. And I know we're talking about like the quarterbacks in general. A lot of people feel that Ewers is, if you had to take out of the 4 that are remaining, that he's the last one on the list. And I just find that fascinating because maybe he is. But there was a point in time when I, felt he was going to get drafted, decently high. And he's just been, I don't know if it's the expectation of what Texas should be doing. And he's just falling short of that. But man, it's just felt like his stock has fell throughout the course of the year.
I mean,
Troy,
we'll see.
I agree with you in that where I think it's the expectation of Texas. Ewers is a great quarterback. He is. He's above average college quarterback. And I think being at Texas has it a little skewed.
Yeah. That being said, his name will still be called pretty high up. I mean, he's not going to be one of the first. I don't think he'll be the first 3 taken. He might be the 4th taken for I'm talking quarterbacks, not draft picks.
Yeah.
I'm talking quarterbacks in the draft. Yeah, I'm not saying picks. So, but yeah, to your point, coming in, like everyone thought he was going to be the guy, but then of course, when you have Arch behind you, there's even added pressure. So you have Texas, and then you have Arch Manning behind you. I mean, that adds even more pressure. But guys, I want to pick your brains on this too. Who's going to win the title then? Because I'm sure that's a pretty quick turnaround to that game, right? It's that following Monday. But guys, with all that being said, I want to pick your brain. Just early indicator, because we'll jump on and talk about it next week. Troy, right now, who would you lean to winning the title?
Yeah, so through the picks that I gave, my title game would be Ohio State versus Penn State. And so we've already seen that matchup this year. And I'm probably going with the winner of the original game, which would be Ohio State. I just think they're the more talented team and that they would be able to take care of business against Penn State if they played again. I know it's hard to beat a team twice in 1 year, but I think Ohio State's just better at the key positions, especially in a high leverage situation.
Which way are you leaning, Connor?
Yeah, so right now my national championship game is Ohio State and Notre Dame. I'm still with Troy on this when it comes. I think it's Ohio State. I think Ohio State just has if it is Ohio State Notre Dame, Ohio State just has a much better offense that I don't think Notre Dame can handle. So I'm going to take Ohio State.
Yeah, well, that's an ugly graphic because that would make three of us. I would take Ohio State over Penn State in the championship. So do with that what you
means
may.
Texas is
Anyone
gonna win
listening. Exactly. I was about to say none of us said Texas, so be ready for Texas to be celebrating. All right, guys, but all we have left to look forward to then are these bowl games. A nice little pepper challenge for Dallas. I just want to say it here right now, Dallas. I'm going to join you on the pepper challenge. You have my sword. I'm with you. It wasn't fun last time, but I can't let a man suffer alone. Hopefully there'll be some brother in arms with us that will join, but I'll be with you for sure.
I'll let y'all suffer.
Axe.
There we go, guys. But all right. Thank you guys for tuning in to Tortilla Talk. As always, you can find us across all social media platforms at Tech Letter N Tortillas. That is Tech Letter N Tortillas. Please like, comment, subscribe. Troy does a great job on the YouTube. Please, again, give him a little shout out. This guy works hard. He does all the editing. He makes sure that none of our heads get too big. He keeps everything in line. So please comment. Tell us how we're doing. Anything would be appreciated. But as always, guys, thank you. And guns up.
Find out. Everything runs through.
Tech and Tortillas.
Everything runs through.
Tech and Tortillas.